generation. How do you think they will be looking to citizenship by investment and residency by investment? What's going to shift there?
I think that we will continue to see pressure on citizenship by investment programs, like political pressure. Maybe we'll overcome that. I hope for a ruling in the European Court of Justice in favor of Malta against the European Commission, because they have infringement procedures ongoing. If I were a gambling man, I would bet on Malta coming out victorious from that. But nonetheless, I think that we will continue to see that pressure. Also because people are now physically relocating, I think we will see a rise in interest and awareness of independent means visas, because they've existed for a while. It's just that people didn't know about them because people were only marketing the golden visas. But now they're really coming to the fore. They're growing up. People are becoming aware of them and using them to a greater and greater extent. I also think that citizenship by descent is it's a neglected segment of the market, because, I mean, most countries in Europe allow for some type of citizenship by descent, and a lot of them, up to the third and even past the third generation of descendants. So the implication of that is that, in the United States alone, we're talking like 40-50% of the population who are potentially eligible. Not all of them will be eligible, right? But depending on which European country their ancestors came from. But I think, conservatively estimated, at least 100 million Americans have some kind of claim to citizenship by descent. That's just, take your own country, Brazil, right? Or Argentina, right? Venezuela, Colombia, tons of Italians, Germans, Spanish, right? All of which are countries that offer citizenship by descent. Well, not so much in Germany. It's only second generation.
Yeah, but Italy for sure.
Italy for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's like 80 million. The Italian diaspora is like 80 million people.
Yeah.
And most of them, almost all of them are in the Western Hemisphere, right? Yeah. So we're talking about, all told, if you add that all up, we're talking about almost another Europe in terms of how many people could become citizens in EU countries by virtue of their lineage, right? And that's, I think, it's interesting for investment migration firms as well, even though it's not investment migration, strictly speaking, because maybe you can charge 10, 15, 20,000 on a case like this. It's relatively uncomplicated, and you have 100, 200, 300 million people who potentially could do it, right? So it's a volume business, but if you get those procedures lined up, if you get your processes streamlined, that could be interesting. And I also think that as you have sort of an ethical responsibility as a service provider in investment migration. If somebody comes in, my colleague Rogelio Cáceres, he pointed out, people come in and his name is like an American comes in and his name is Matteo
Salviani,
something like that, something super Italian, right? And he comes into the office and he says, "Oh yeah, you should buy the Italian investor visa." Like, no. First check if you have some Italian ancestry, right? Because then you can get it for free, basically, right? And you just charge him for the work. So as service providers, I think it's important to be kind of solution agnostic when it comes to how you help the client, not just push on in whatever program you're excited about today, but also think, are there maybe simpler, even cheaper solutions for this person that we can provide? And very often you'll have citizenship by descent as a possibility, especially if we're talking about clients from the Western Hemisphere. In the past, investment migration was all about clients from the Eastern Hemisphere. It was all about Middle Easterners, Russia, CIS, Asia, all over Asia, right? And there, nobody has European citizenship by descent anyway. So I understand why there was not this focus on that. And there wasn't a focus on independent means visas either, because those people were from high growth economies. So they wanted to stay in those countries, still, run their businesses, do their work, and have the option to go to Europe if they wanted, but they didn't really want to move. We're talking to the market in the Western Hemisphere, so North and South America. Those guys, they do have European ancestry a lot of the time. And now, increasingly, they're also willing to actually physically relocate.
Relocate, yeah.